Welcome on in, guys. It is three bold takes. Chase, Quinn, and Freddie here. We're doing our weekly predictions. This week it's week 3. It's actually technically week 4 if you want to count Florida State's crap loss in week 0. If you want to count that one, I just like bringing that up. That's funny to me. Anyway, guys, we're in our predictions. All of us do it each week. Week 3 is kind of a drag a little bit though. We got 4 games for you this week, and right now we're bringing you the Arizona Wildcats at the Kansas State Wildcats. So Wildcat on Wildcat. Huge game. Number 20 against number 14 in the AP poll, if you really care about that stuff. The over-under is 56 and a half. Kansas State is favored by 7. Freddie, am I missing anything here that you typically tell people?
Nope, I believe you got it all this time.
Gosh, got it all the same. And Freddie, I got to hear from you first. I almost did your job for you right there.
Hey, I will take that. No, so this game is very interesting to me. Obviously, you've got Kansas State last week almost got upset by Tulane. It was at Tulane, so that kind of has something to do with it too. They weren't at home. Whereas Arizona had a struggle win against Northern Arizona, 22-10 at home. Um, Arizona, man, they're a team that I can't quite figure out because they haven't played a team like Kansas State yet that's from the Big-12, right? So the first game, New Mexico 61-39. Yeah, you give up 39 points to New Mexico. Oh boy. Might be of concern there if you're an Arizona fan. Then the next week you come out, struggle win, like I mentioned, against Northern Arizona. But McMillan, that receiver who had over 300 yards in week 1, was completely absent from the game last week. I think he had 11 yards on the day. And that's kind of concerning, right? Like if you get 300 yards from a guy in week 1, you expect a little bit of production in week 2. You obviously don't expect 300 yards in week 2, but you expect a little bit. And that was not there, unfortunately, last week. Kansas State wise, obviously, as I mentioned, the Tulane game in week 1, UT Martin 41-6, whatever, right? Whatever. Can't really read too much into that. Kansas State is favored by 7 points, and I'm going to take Kansas State to win the game and to cover. I just have to see Arizona this year. Like, I know what happened last year. Like, we understand that. Amazing season for Arizona last year. But when you look at this year and a new coaching staff, right? They still have the quarterback, and they have this really good receiver, but I've got to see it this year. And whenever it pertains to Kansas State, I think that win, contrary to popular belief, that win at Tulane, I think, was a quality win. Like Tulane is one of those teams that are projected to possibly make the playoffs, right? And if you win at Tulane, I think that is a pretty decent win. There, had 215 yards rushing, which is nice. I just like Kansas State in this game. I think they're going to outman Arizona. I think they're going to be more physical than Arizona. I like their defense better. So give me Kansas State to win the game and to cover this one on Friday night.
Yeah, Freddie, I love that right there, man. Like I'm thinking in about the same wavelength here. Like I think Kansas State, in my opinion, they're about a 8 to 9 point favorite in my own mind. Like that's how much I'd normally pick them by. Throw in the fact it's at home, and that makes me feel pretty confident in Kansas State in this game. I feel safer with the stability that they have that they're bringing into this, and then you throw in that home field advantage on it. Home field advantage, look, it's a big deal in college football. It's about to be an even bigger deal, and I don't think people fully grasp that yet. Especially when you look at the Big 12 and the Big 10, travel is going to be a big deal. Traveling from Arizona to Kansas. Now Arizona's somewhat used to this because they'd play conference games in like Seattle, Washington, even back in like the Big 12. They play out in the West. You got to travel further to get to games out west. But these road matchups, it's an atmosphere they're not used to. Arizona don't know what it's going to be like to go into Kansas State. They've never really seen that before. I think, especially for teams transitioning in, unless you're coming into a situation like Utah, where you're just like a super loaded roster as far as like experience goes. I don't I think these road matchups are going to play a bigger role in your ability to win or lose the games. So I like Kansas State to cover. I'm fitting right the same vibe as Freddie on this one. And Chase, I'm interested to see what you think about this matchup between the two Wildcats.
Yeah, huge Wildcat guy myself. I actually went to a high school with a Wildcat as our mascot. So how cool
Most
is that?
overblown mascot in America.
Yeah,
Yep, there it
probably
is.
25% of all America did that too, Chase. So.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely important, is what I'm hearing. No, just kidding. Well, this is a big one for me because I kind of wanted to do the Tulane Kansas State game last week, and I watched a little bit of it. Tulane is my pick to be in the playoffs as a Group of Five representative. I think Tulane's an extremely tough team. I think they're coached really well. I love their coach, John Summerall from Troy. I know it's his first year there, but they're going to do some great things. Um, and I think Kansas State's a good team too, but you also got to remember they lost Will Howard. You're trying to replace him and stuff. Um, and you're trying to replicate what you were doing last year. Kansas State is always going to be an extremely tough team in the Big 12. Let's just get that straight. They're going to be most likely a top 3 team in the Big 12 year in and year out because their defense is stout, their offense is above average, and can really play when it gets down to it. This is honestly, you can put Kansas State probably in the above average field of the SEC, right in the above average to better part of the Big Ten as well because of how they play football. They play really, really tough, defensive minded football, and I love it. For me, though, you guys are talking stability, and I absolutely love stability, except for that I don't. And that's why I'm going to go Arizona in this game. I think Arizona is going to bring something to the table that they're going to play up to competition. Coming into this game, they are 9-0 since last year after they lost their 3 overtime game against USC. They can play up to competition. I think they've been playing a little down. They're trying to figure out their identity right now with Jed Fish leaving to go to Washington to fill in DeBoer's shoes. So, but these guys at the end of last year, I think Fish even made some outward bound calls saying, "Hey, come play for me at Washington." And a bunch of these guys said, "No, we're going to stick here and figure out what we want to do." So they have an identity. They have a nucleus of guys who are still there that can play ball. You already saw McMillan in week 1. He's not going to do that every week, but this kid can't put up over 100 yards every week. He can put up 150 for you. Him and Fafita, I think they're going to do great things this year. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think Arizona has the offense that can outplay Kansas State's defense at times. And I don't think Kansas State is a wonderful team to play from behind fully all game. You saw it in the Tulane game. When they have to play from behind, they are not as good as they should be. But now, if Kansas State gets up 2 touchdowns, I can see this going pretty poorly for Arizona because they can game manage. They can play that way in front and manage the game extremely well to where Arizona can't get back into it. But I think Arizona comes out hot. I think they come out ready. I think they play some ball. I think the atmosphere will be a little shaky at first, but I have some belief in Fafita and McMillan that they're going to do some wonderful things this week. So I'm going to go with my Wildcats, Arizona. That it, guys? Nothing else? No other fun things?
No, I'm good.
Okay, guys. Well, this is the Battle of the Wildcats. We're so thankful that you were watching with us for 3 Bold Takes. It's been Freddie, Chase, and Quinn. We're doing our predictions every week. Make sure to stay tuned. Check out our channel. We got them all the time. Most of the time, we do overreactions as well. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, who you want to see, who you don't want to see. Make sure to share with your grandmother, your dog, your cat, your fish. We don't care. Just as long as you watch, you like, you subscribe. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for watching.
You goldfish.